Good evening, everyone. I am Pethum Jeewantha, working as a software engineer at Balance, and I will start with brief introduction to what is Kubernetes. Kubernetes is an open source container orchestration platform developed by Google. It used to deploy, manage, and scale containerized application, and also known as KCD. And why we use Kubernetes to deploy our SaaS application. Kubernetes has horizontally and vertically scaling capability. When increasing incoming traffic, it can gain more instances to handle that traffic, and also it can allocate CPU and memory for each containers. And Kubernetes has self-healing mechanism. When if node goals fail, it can automatically create a container in healthy node, and it is ensure our application is always up and running even in hardware or software failure. And the other one is cost efficiency. We can set minimum CPU and memory allocation for each container, and also we can set maximum CPU and memory allocations. And what are the benefits when we are using Kubernetes for our applications? We can deploy our application as a version without any downtime, and also we can deploy our application for a small subset of users before fully rolling out. And as previously said, we can deploy, as previously said, Kubernetes has, we can set minimum and maximum resource limit, and also we can automate testing and packaging our application into container, and also we can use CD tools for our automatic deployment. And Kubernetes has inbuilt load balancing facility which can distribute incoming traffic through our pods. And these are some of challenges. When in the beginner level, Kubernetes has operated with several abstraction layers. When at the beginner level, it may hard to understand what are those and how they are working together. And Kubernetes has a steep learning curve. And when using Kubernetes, development and operation teams may need new skills to efficiently use Kubernetes. And another one is Kubernetes has much configurations. When creating a new cluster, we need to consider about configuration, networking, and security issues. And these are some of my experience. The recent one was when after I build Docker image in my Mac, there's an issue with deploy in our cluster. The issue was the Apple Silicon was built with ARM-based architecture, and our clusters was built within Cross-64 architecture. When I researching them, the issue was architecture incompatibility. Then I have to build the Docker image in another machine which is run in Windows, and then I have to deploy it from another machine. And the host routing was the first one I think I got at the beginner level. That was when I trying to host routing with Nginx controller. I couldn't find any default configuration. After I referring their documentation, I couldn't found any configuration, and then I have to add that configuration to Nginx controller manually. And there are some situations we need to add Windows nodes because of there are some applications running only in Windows nodes. As example, the older version of .NET applications are running only in Windows nodes. Adding Windows nodes may be challenging because of lack of documentation and because of lack of documentation and their in limitation of Windows nodes. At the first time, HTTPS configuration was bit hard for me, and I suggest you to, when you configure HTTPS, I suggest you to prefer Cert Manager documentation. It has good documentation, and these are some of tips from me. When you are starting your Kubernetes journey, I suggest you to start simple and start with small projects and then gradually adapt for Kubernetes features when you are going more familiar with Kubernetes. And when you are deploying your application, try to break down it to smaller ones to gain benefits of microservices. It make an more maintainable. And when creating infrastructure, try to use infrastructure as code tools like Terraform. Uh, when you trying to learn Kubernetes, I suggest you to learn Terraform at the next step, and also to deploy automation, try to use CI/CD pipelines. And when you testing your application, try to test your application at the different environment for different staging. And when you are releasing new releases in your application, try to use canary releases. And that's all from me. Thank you.